What's up guys, it's Kara Corey here, back for another dietitian talk. And this is gonna be a highly requested video, or this was a highly requested video, I should say, from my gut health video. I had spoke about maybe doing a separate video on poop and what your poop says about you. And I was really floored by the amount of people that were like, poop video, please. Like everyone was like begging for me to squeeze one out. So that's what we're gonna do today. And I'm not sure how in depth I'm gonna get with this. I don't claim to be an expert on your poop, but we're gonna use this video to give you some tips on how to get to know your poop better, okay? And you might not be taking this seriously. I will start by saying this may not be a video you wanna watch while you're eating breakfast. You know, maybe you want to watch it while you're taking a poop. Sometimes you want to watch YouTubes while you're taking a poop. This might be a good one to save for that opportunity. So anyways, we're going to talk about this because while you might think, this girl's crazy, what is she talking about? Why is she doing a video on poop? Your poop can actually be one of the easiest indicators to know more about your health, in particular your GI tract and your digestive health. So that's why we're going to discuss it today, and hopefully I'll give you a bit of information to help you get to better know your poop. So for starters, what I want to say is everyone's normal is going to be different. So you know, we talk about being regular and taking regular poops and, you know, being consistent and, you know, what dictates being constipated. But everyone's normal is really going to be a little bit different. So there really isn't any set standard for what's normal. More or less what you see are averages for what's, you know, the average amount you should go. So for some people that might be 1 to 2 times a day. For others it might be 1 to 2 times a week. And really neither is right or wrong. It's all about finding what your normal is, what your average is, and with that, what you feel comfortable with. So if you're watching this video and you're not even sure what that is, that's a good indicator. At this point, you might want to be mindful going into this week. I'm just going to keep like mental track, or maybe I'll track somewhere how many times I poop this week. Maybe you can even track it in your food tracker if you're doing that as well. It's not a bad idea to track it and see what your average is, what your normal consists of. And there's other things we look at too. One thing, just to give you a little poop background, a little poop info for you. You know, the color of it, we'll talk a little bit about the color of it, but in general, yeah, your poop normally is brown. And reason being, if you're unaware of why that little poop emoji, or wasn't it supposed to be frozen yogurt? Or didn't they say it's supposed to be frozen yogurt? I don't believe that. That is a little turd with a set of eyes on it that's smiling at you. That was never supposed to be frozen yogurt. That's a bunch of bullshit. There's an ice cream cone emoji in there. There was no need for a frozen yogurt emoji. That is poop. You know what I'm talking about. I digress. Okay, the reason why your poop is brown though is because bile is produced from the liver. That is what's used to help excrete your poop, essentially. So what is poop? Poop is basically we consume food, we digest it, we use it, and whatever we can't digest is what's eliminated from the body in the form of poop. And as mentioned, bile is used in that process, which usually colors it brown. Bile is the color brown. So that's where you get that brown poop from. With that, normally, with a normal intake, when you consume food, usually the process to for that journey before it hits the toilet is about 3 days, believe it or not. You know, if you eat something right now, it's going to be about 3 days before that's truly digested, absorbed, and processed in your body before it's eliminated. That can vary a bit depending on what food items you're consuming, but on average it's about 3 days. So just kind of good information to know, because I think sometimes people think they eat something, and if immediately afterwards they don't feel good or they go to the bathroom, it was directly correlated to what they just ate. And that's not always the case. So that's where it can be good to kind of keep a food journal if you're having some GI issues, which I know many of you clearly are, because a lot of you discussed it on my gut health video. So while it might sound weird, it may not be a good time to do a weekly journal of your food intake. And in addition to that food intake, also keeping track of your pooping schedule and kind of writing down some of what you're noticing there and finding out your norm. Okay, so with talking about poop, like I said, that can be one of those things that can really help you to identify if you've got a serious issue going on or not. So while everyone's normal is going to be different, here are some basic guidelines I'm going to give you, and some of them might sound extreme. And so what I want to say is if you're truly worried about it and you comment below like, oh my God, do I have rectal cancer? Like, I can't answer that for you. You obviously need to go to the doctor if you're having some kind of like consistent issues. When I say consistent issues, so finding out what your normal poop is like is the first component to this. Second is abnormalities. When I say abnormalities in your poop changing, I don't mean like 1 or 2 days, things look weird, or maybe even 1 or 2 poops, things look a little creepy. That's not what I mean by this. When I talk about like a consistent change, I'm talking about like you have your normal poop, you know what it looks like, you know how frequently it happens, and then all of a sudden you're going on like a week of these abnormal looking situations in the toilet. That's when that's probably going to warrant calling your doctor and setting up an appointment to talk about your poop in a little more depth, okay? So don't get freaked out if you have like one poop that looks weird. You're not going to die from that, but this is just, you know, something to think about, that we tend to get freaked out when we see like one thing gone weird, and it's definitely going to take more than that. So let's talk about poop when you notice. So I'm going to now get into like what things look like in the toilet, okay? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is when you notice that like your poop is really hard, or maybe you have to strain. Straining is never a good thing. It's never a good thing. You shouldn't ever have to strain. So let me put that out there. So if you're straining or you're noticing your poop is always really hard, you're likely constipated, if you haven't already guessed that. And you know, a lot of people think just because they go to the bathroom every single day that they're regular, there's no issues there. But you could be pooping every day, but if you're straining every time you poop, or it's hard and like it's not coming out like nice and formed, maybe it's coming out in like little pebble-like situations, very hard, and you're straining, you could be doing that every day, but that could still mean that you're pretty constipated. So to talk about some things with constipation, how to alleviate that, obviously fiber is going to be number one, and in general, most Americans way underconsume fiber and are not even aware of how much they underconsume fiber. So again, this is where food tracking can come in handy. The average American usually only consumes about 15 grams of fiber. So as a whole, US citizens are not even meeting like half the recommendation for fiber. So for females, that's 25 grams of fiber per day. For men, it's 38 grams of fiber per day. That is truly what you should be aiming for. So if you're someone who's struggling and thinks you might be constipated, that's the easiest route to go. Starting out is looking at your fiber intake. That fiber is going to help add some bulk to your diet and hopefully assist you and ease you in going to the bathroom. I always recommend starting with the diet first, because honestly, I feel like a lot of doctors are going to quickly prescribe you like 3 to 4 things for constipation, some of which people start taking long-term, stool softeners and things like that. Your body can get quickly used to those products, like things like Miralax. I really discourage people from taking that consistently unless you truly need to, because your body adapts to those types of medications and then it isn't able to kind of go to the bathroom on its own without the assistance of that medication. So, starting first with your diet, trying to bump up fiber a bit. I feel like hands down one of the easiest tips I can give people is through your breakfast cereal. It's really easy to start your day out with a high fiber cereal, oatmeal, or for me, I love just like granny style bran flakes. Having a big bowl of bran flakes in the morning or even at night before you go to bed, you may wake up and have better results. So try to increase the fiber through the cereals you're eating, fruits, veggies, beans, things of that nature to help add that bulk to your diet can be one simple way to combat that. Other things with constipation are going to be your hydration status. You need to have enough fluid in your system. You need to have enough fluid in your colon to be able to help push the stool through your body. So if you're someone who's not drinking adequately, but you're getting in a lot of fiber, then you're still going to have issues. And it's always good to note that anytime you start increasing fiber in your diet, you should also be increasing fluid in your diet. Whether you feel like your fluid intake's already adequate, if you start to bump up that fiber, your body is going to need more fluid to help process it, to aid in the digestive process and also in the elimination process. So definitely make sure you're increasing your water in addition to that. And the other tip there with constipation is mobility and making sure you're exercising and moving around. And this is something that I see at a hospital level all the time, especially with elderly folks not moving around enough. Exercise can help that digestive motility and help to kind of move things around. So if you're someone struggling with constipation and it's really bothering you, then what better motivation to get yourself to the gym or get moving, because exercise has really shown to help with regularity and to help get that digestive tract moving. That was not to be TMI, although this video is pretty TMI. When I was a runner, that was one of the things I loved about running. Running just helps speed up the GI tract. So if you're someone that's ran, or maybe you've never ran before and you go out and you do a 5K, you may notice like you go to the bathroom a little bit more that day, or maybe you even have like a softer stool because that GI tract gets sped up so much from the exercise. So that can be kind of an added bonus with working out, that it can help with prevention of constipation. So that's one thing to look for with your poop. Number two, if you notice with the color of your stool, from what I've seen, some doctors say the color isn't as concerning. Again, it's more learning what your normal is, but there has been some concerns with noting if your stool looks to be black or red. So if there's red in your stool, that could be an indicator of some type of bleeding going on. A lot of times it could be something very benign and nothing to be concerned about, maybe a sign of hemorrhoids. But again, if you're noticing it on a consistent basis, that would be something that you may want to get checked out, because it could also be a sign of some type of cancer. So again, that's more of the extreme, but just something to keep an eye on. With black stool, again, that could be another sign. Black could be in the form of blood, actually. It could be causing your stool to look black. Again, something to note as well is changes in any of the types of medications you're consuming, because medications, depending on what the ingredients are in them, could actually alter the color of your poop. So certain things like Pepto-Bismol actually has, and I forget what the ingredient is that's in there, I guess is known to actually turn your poop black. So just being aware of that, and again, if you notice it on a consistent basis, would be the time of concern when you should call your doctor. Celiac disease is a disease in which your body cannot process gluten. Your body cannot eat gluten, which is found in wheat, rye, and barley. So many people, that celiac disease impacts, I forget, I don't have the statistic written down. It impacts a lot of people, not as many as people think, but many people go undiagnosed with celiac disease, so for a long period of time. So this could be one of your indicators. If you're chronically having loose stools, that could be a sign. So that would be worth giving your doctor a call and seeing if you can have some testing done. I would specifically mention that you're wondering about celiac disease, or if you want, you could, I always recommend people go to the doctor and kind of have those things tested out first before eliminating stuff in the diet. Elimination diets are very big with gut health and figuring out your digestive symptoms, but there is testing that can be done at the doctor with blood work and things like that. So I would suggest that route first and see if that is an area that does come back positive. So if so, the treatment for that is going to be a very strict gluten-free diet. And with that, you know, symptoms usually do resolve themselves, and you can, you know, have, you know, normal digestive health at that point. Okay, so that's loose stools. The next one I wanted to mention is having what I like to call floaters. Yeah, so that's poop that floats and doesn't sink. You know you've seen it. You know you've called it floaters before. It's not just me. All right, so when you have floaters, there's, again, nothing truly of health concern. It's more or less you have excessive gas in the GI system, in the GI tract, which lends itself to not as dense of a poop. It tends to float a bit more. So, and that could just be due to one of the meals you consumed. If you ate like a high gas producing meal, maybe you had like a lot of cabbage or something like that, that could definitely be the cause. One of the things to look for that would be more concerning is if you notice with your floaters, if there tends to be, like, if you ever see an oil-like substance, like if it tends to look a little bit oily in the toilet, that could be fat that your body is actually not absorbing. And that's when you need to be concerned, because if your body's not absorbing the fat, you're missing out on certain nutrients, and you want to get down to the root of why your body is not absorbing the fat. So if you are noticing that, and again, noticing it on a consistent basis, not just 1 or 2 times, then it would be a good time to call the doctor and have that get looked at a bit more. Okay, the next thing is, let's talk about poop and the odor of poop for a minute, all right? We all know it stinks, right? Like, you can't, don't act, it's like that saying, don't act like your shit don't stink, because it all stinks. It's supposed to. No one has, it's so hard to do this video seriously, but no one's poop smells like roses, okay? I don't care who they are. You know, there is gonna be an odor in there, and what that essentially means is, like I talked about in the gut health video, we have trillions of bacteria in the GI system, and some of it's good bacteria, some of it's bad bacteria, and if there's an odor produced, which there is, that just means your body is like in good health. Like, your body is in good working order if it's producing bowel movements that have an odor to them. Like, there should be an odor. There's gonna be, yeah, some people's is worse than others, and it's just, it's part of it though. It's absolutely normal. So there's no concern there with an odorous poop that lends itself to some poopery and keeping the bathroom door closed for a couple hours. You're okay there. But there are times that you want to pay attention to the odor. For instance, if there's like an egg-like odor to it, or like a very high sulfur kind of scent to it, which sulfur, if you're not sure, that smells like eggs essentially, and you're having diarrhea. If you're having that combination, that could be a sign of Giardia, which I never know if I say that right, but that is a parasite that mostly hangs out in fresh water, hence the sulfur containing scent to it. It could just mean that you have that parasite within you, and it's actually not, it's not to say it's not scary, but it's actually more common than I think is what's talked about, and it's also something that you could have within you and not even know it and not get treated for it, but there are tests that a doctor can do to find out if that's going on. So again, something to be mindful of. Everyone's gonna be like sniffing and examining their poops after this video, so like snap at me. JK, don't do that, don't do that, I will block you. Okay, the next one I wanted to comment on is if you have pencil thin poop. that mostly can be a sign. I don't want to freak anyone out, but number one, it could just be a sign of constipation. So again, if you see it one or two, a few times, don't be freaked out. But then the other thought is that it could potentially be some type of rectal cancer, and that if there is some type of tumor in there that's blocking the passageway, that is what could lead to like a pencil type size coming through. So you don't need to be freaked out if you see it one or two times, although I feel like I can say I've never seen that. That sounds fucking freaky, a pencil-sized poop in there. But just be aware, these are good indicators to think about. Like, we should be looking at our poop. There's so much that doctors know and don't know, and the person that can know your body best is you. So the more you can be educated about your own body and your own symptoms, and when you do go to the doctor, the more you can educate them and tell them exactly what's going on, that just gives them better information. I mean, especially with GI stuff, there's so many things that could be going on. Yes, doctors are smart, they know their stuff, they went to school, but it can be really hard to find out what's going on. So the quicker you can find out this stuff, especially if it comes to cancer, the quicker you can know about these symptoms and get things treated, could be life or death in some scenarios. So while I'm kind of joking within this video, I also really take it seriously, and I hope you guys too, because I think it can be really helpful. The last thing I wanted to mention is if you have like explosive like diarrhea, like explosive liquid coming through, and it's a green light color, that could be a symptom of C. diff or Clostridium differum, if I say it right. That could be a symptom of C. diff. That can be really common after antibiotic use, actually. So again, if that's something that you notice, you'd have to go to the doctor. You definitely want to go to the doctor and talk to them about it. So with a lot of this stuff, in general, the biggest thing I can tell you is to study your poop, figure out what your normal is, figure out what you feel comfortable with. Just because you have 1 or 2 days where you don't poop at all, it doesn't mean you're constipated and need to go on a stool softener. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean you have a disease. You just simply need to better learn your body and how you feel healthiest. So yeah, I encourage you all to examine your poop, take a look at it, think about some of the things I discussed, and see what's coming out of you. Yeah, so I think that's gonna conclude this, what your poop says about you video. I kind of wanted to keep it as basic as I could keep it for a poop video, but still have it be a bit educational. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment below, share with others. I think other people need to examine their poop as well. So please share this video. And if you would like, again, I'd like more feedback below on specific gut health topics. If you guys are interested in me doing a series on that, I want to see you hit that like button, please. That'll let me know if it's worth it for me to do the time for these videos. I try to put a lot of time into them and make sure I'm presenting you guys with the best information possible. So thank you guys for checking in, and check out your poop, and I'll see you later.